Okay, it looks like I'm live now. Last time the computer just froze. For some reason I had this once before. And after 5 hours or something of streaming for some reason, but I mean it didn't matter too much because we were already at the end of the stream. If that happens again, I just start streaming again, so the part becomes two episodes, basically 2 parts. Yeah, anyway, so today I guess this is the last session for the CSV parser project, because most of the conversion is already there, and I guess I only have to adjust. I have to add a few little more features, and then I can off stream clean the project up and basically commit it and publish it. So, also heute wird wohl die letzte Sitzung für das CSV-Parser-Projekt sein, weil ich ja schon eigentlich alles abdecke oder konvertiere. Und ich denke, dass ich dann nur noch heute ein paar kleinere Features noch hinzufügen muss. Und dann kann ich aber ja, offline das Projekt noch ein bisschen aufräumen und die ja, und es dann committen und veröffentlichen im Prinzip. Was alles nicht so schlecht ist, denke ich, wenn das schon soweit dann abgeschlossen wäre. Okay. So, und nun, was noch fehlt, what's still missing, is the option to ignore the first line. And also escaping of special XML control characters, structuring characters. And I'm wondering a little bit about encapsulation element name table, because I would assume that this is not a proper good name for, like, according to the CSV RFC. Let's see how this looks in the browser. I didn't find a table element there. Is there still a bug in the current version? Oh, okay. Exception DDD. Maybe last thing I did was trying something out. I don't remember exactly. Oh, I see. Yes, this is one of the things that still need to be added for it to become complete. So what happens here is that I have like a bunch of line breaks at the end of the file or like anywhere, and these get interpreted as empty cells or like an empty column, which is fine until the last one, because there I enter into the attempt of reading a cell and immediately run into an out of character end of file situation, and there I throw an exception. saying that a cell needs to have at least some characters and beat another line break for an empty cell. But the RFC says that this is permitted, that this is valid to have, like, at the very end a line break. So let's see. Handle field. Field was the proper name here. So I throw this exception. If I encounter end of characters within while trying to parse a line without finding field data, without finding another line break, oh wait, this is different. I'm trying, yes, oh okay, it's like I described it. Initially, the situation where I'm trying to read a field and it has no character data at all on the attempt of reading it. So how could I possibly handle this? I mean, I could go for, like, let's see when this happens. When this return code is okay, whenever I encounter, okay. If I try to enter a field and it is immediately the end of the input file. So I guess this is the idea here. And maybe I should count. I mean, I have the, where is it? Column count somewhere, or like field count, I guess. Count field. And maybe I should permit this as the final so like I don't want to allow out of characters in the file in the case where I'm in the middle of a field, I encountered that no line break was found, or wait, this could be, I guess this is more out of characters, and no characters is only if I encountered on in the first. So this is basically already handled, I guess. So like the difference would be if I try to read a field, handle field, and this is maybe the 5th field or something, and then I immediately run out of characters without without a line break, or is this valid? Does I think the RFC potentially allows this as well. Let's just check. Because that would result in an empty last field, I assume. Come on. Okay. So like it is allowed to have like a line break at the end and then encounter the end of file, or also encounter the end of file at the last at the last data field, which might be empty, I guess. Could be indeed empty as well. So I guess this no characters condition here is perfectly valid in all circumstances. So the solution would be to simply not throw the exception, but instead break the or even return from here. Break the loop or return out of characters. Is there still something different here? A different? Yeah, I guess this is different. This might be different, is it? This might never actually trigger here. Right? I mean, the only difference is if this happens in the middle of... Oh, wait. The difference is that the out of characters may be encountered in a situation where I'm parsing an enclosed field value. And in that situation, it certainly needs to throw an exception, obviously. Because then something is missing in the file. Let's see if I handle it properly. Count field, I only allow it, yes, for the same reason like I have to add here. I'm allowing this, but if I'm for the first field, but not if I have started reading other ones. I don't remember the reasoning. Because if I'm in an enclosed one, that would be most likely not permitted here. The check here count field. Let's see. Count field starts with 0. Now I would need to watch my old stream recording to figure out what the idea was here. Because I don't remember exactly. But okay, I mean, I could easily. So I guess this is always true, isn't it? Because it's always 0 or greater than 0. Maybe I just copied it from above. I mean, there are many uses of count field for checking if I guess I understand what it is for. Here I'm using, I remember now, I'm using it to see if I have to add the closing tag, because it is a I think it is because I have read some fields which are potentially no. The idea is to potentially see if I did write some fields that are configured to be relevant to the output. That might be the idea here, but still, I mean, out of characters could be a could be a situation that is indicating an error. How do I handle the handle field enclosed? Ah, this is different, of course. Yeah, see, and there is a difference here. Okay. But like this is then working with like regular fields and their character data, and then if the character data just ends, is not encountered anymore, then I enter into out of characters, and the no characters is the difference if I'm trying to read a field and immediately don't have any more characters there. So I don't think that I need these as separate conditions, do I? Most certainly I don't need this. Are there any other special cases? I don't think so. Let's see. Maybe I just change it, and if this is still not totally correct, then I can fix it later. Maybe let's keep it, because this could be used to identify a situation like this. Maybe there could be so I guess the idea is that I also want or need to check if the relevant like checking for the regularity of the table or grid. So I can maybe this should not be a permitted, like a single column maybe should not be permitted. So I guess I can keep this as a separate indication here, because that shouldn't hurt. So I would assume that in the no characters situation, I probably want to do the same as I do here, up here, most likely. So I think this is not entirely correct or useful. I think this is just I guess I can always close the line, can't I? Or row, most likely. Why would I need an exception there? Like the okay, of course it's about the regularity to check that, and maybe this was just a short placeholder for it. Alright. This is why I still have a to-do here, and I didn't copy the to-do I think this is what's going on. And not only amount, oh, I think maybe the amount is perfectly fine, because I think I do not need to make sure if, oh, I guess I have to check amount and present and presence of relevant fields as configured in the job file. So this is basically what needs to be done. For one, compare the or like check the total amount of fields. So I get a chance to check if it is like a regular grid or table, and then I should also check if there are some if some of the configured relevant fields are missing. So this is basically the to-do here. Okay. I'm basically almost copying all of the return codes, which is likely not a good idea, not a good thing to do. But whatever, right? And up here, this is the chance, or already down there, to identify, to check if, or like to complain or throw an exception if a situation like this one should not be permitted. It is valid CSV, I assume, but yeah. One problem here is, of course, which is most likely not mentioned in the RFC, that all of these lines lead to an empty cell, and the last one, or two, except that it is allowed to have a lonely carriage return line feed at the end at the file. And that would lead to an additional empty and irregular field there, which is not supposed to be present. So maybe I need to read more carefully and check this because this can hardly be the intention of the RFC. Each record is located. So I mean, this is left open and not specified by the RFC, I guess. And this would also always lead to like a irregular table if the last line without any value or comma leads to an empty cell or field. So this is most likely why I want to throw an error, an exception in this case. Yeah, so this is the difference between like a single column with no data in like a single column variant of this, but for the last carriage return line feed, I guess I already most certainly have to throw an exception to make sure that this doesn't lead to a new empty cell. But is this what I'm currently doing? I mean, let's just try it with the input file, right? So I have this stuff here. Did I add it? Okay, and this means that I have another case here. Depending on if I want to close the text for the line. Let's see. Okay, I got a result, I assume, with empty fields at the end. That would be my expectation. Empty fields, yeah. And an empty line, yes, because, yeah. Let's see. I'm not really sure if this is the behavior I would want to keep, if at all. So these are, so the last one. Does this lead to an empty line? Most certainly, because I guess after this has been read, a new line is written to the output, starting after the last character. Then no more data is encountered. The handle, this is exactly the condition covered here. I enter. I do not start to write the field tags here, but already exit, and this is the special condition, I assume, after the last carriage return line feed and out of end of file basically, and I think this should not lead to a new line according to the RFC, and I guess this is what the RFC tries to say. And the problem is that I already have written the line stuff to the output. I probably won't have an option to that is bad. That is bad. Okay, but I don't need to do this right here immediately. I can already, oh no, I can't do handle field because this is already writing to the output. Okay, I mean the easy cheap way to get out is let the line tag be written to the output, then encounter the situation where there is the carriage return line feed. Maybe I have to do it differently, somehow differently. Oh, this gets difficult again. Oh, I think I see how I should handle this. Because if I encounter the no character situation, but these two both break the execution. Like the problem is if I encounter the carriage return line feed, this is already the invitation to continue with the next line. And then I enter into an attempt of reading the next field, and this is valid according to, even if I run into out of character there. And this is sort of the problem, because I don't have a look ahead, which would allow me to make this decision earlier. Because if yes, this is what I usually do, end of line, and I don't have a chance to do look ahead to see if this is like the last character. Or maybe I do have a chance. Let's see. I mean, there are ways to get around this, but I don't want to reorganize the whole parser. And maybe I also could check for the like file size or like stream. Oh no. Oh no, this is. Okay, it looks like the buffered reader isn't like reliably supporting it. So what can I do? I don't want to write my own little extension to the buffered reader here. What can I do? What could I do? I could also try to delay the I guess like the main problem is that I then continue with trying to handle the next field, and that is sort of the root problem here. Another option would be to read a character here, then check it and potentially pass it to all of the methods, but let's maybe the buffered reader has a way to check for end of file or end of stream, basically, because this would also be very helpful. Oh, this looks very bad. Like you have to do a read attempt to move the internal cursor, stream cursor, one character beyond its end. In which case the buffered reader would be pretty dumb, I assume. The stupid Oracle page tries to get into the way with its cookie crap, despite there's no need to use any cookies at all. No technical reason to use any cookies at all for just reading documentation. So Oracle can just okay, there's a ready method, but I'm sort of most likely this is of little help. Ready to be read. Oh no, this is not good. No, I think there's no proper solution for this specific case here. Handle field. But what I could do is to delay this here, the writing of the handling of the field for the first relevant field that's encountered. That's probably the best solution in a situation like this, because this gives me the chance to exit with this without having written the line element name, and also is more elegant and solves sort of some of the issues. The only thing I also have to check here is if this is the first relevant field. So I mean, the map is of course, the keys of the map are sorted or ordered. I mean, theoretically, the easiest way would be to just try to get an iterator and use the first one. But entry set, for example, but this might create a copy. I mean, or another way would be to just remember this from reading the job file and remember it in a member or something. But this is a little bit ugly. Or another option would be to do this in the constructor or something, which is probably, this is likely the most elegant if I don't find an easy way to because of course it's ordered, but I want to make sure that it is somewhat reasonable. Let's have a look at the checks that are done on the configured field configuration there. CSV input output. Mapping attribute number. Okay, this is another to do here. And I made sure that I don't have duplicates. Is there unsigned? But then I don't know if I have parse unsigned int. I don't know. This is probably why I use just an integer, because support might be not really there for unsigned. Okay. So okay, this is most certainly so I mean, like I'm a little bit thinking about the checking if this is the first field, the relevant field. But other than that, I likely want or need a counter of the relevant fields as well. So I could already just go for a count of relevant fields. And if that is still 0, I know that this is the first relevant field I encountered. So I think this solves already 2 needs here. Okay, these to-dos are going to be solved by the count relevant field, I assume. Okay. Because this basically says if this is true, it means that we run into a relevant field, of course, and then I get the chance to check if it is the first one, and I also get the chance to increment the count relevant field. And let's see another time again where count field is incremented. Okay, this is when I run into a delimiter which indicates the start of the next field. And other than that, I think I also should add it when I encounter the line break. Okay, and because just to keep proper track of what's happening here, handle field, because if I encounter this, another field has been completed, even if I'm at the end of the line. Similar to this here. Just be a little bit careful here. And but I think this is sort of fine, and enclosed fields don't have to handle any sort of extra carriage return line feed. Okay, so this is most likely fine, and then I want to increment the count of relevant fields in the case that I complete reading a field, and this is likely the case all the time. I'm doing something like this before the returns here, that I exit the loop. I don't want to do it right here because the count only is supposed to, currently the count column is only incremented when I completed reading a field, and likely so like on the last read, on reading the last field, this is when the counts it as a field that has been read completely. So I think this fits into one of these. Okay. Every time I'm closing the field, okay, and this also reports back on return to the callee that this field was actually complete and present at the end of, you know, like the line feed and whatnot. Here we have the case that we reach the end of the field as well, either the last one by carriage return or just the end by matching the delimiter. And if it happens to be one that has been configured, I also increment this. I think I should now delete this because this didn't receive much of attention by now and maybe it's outdated. So it's more a problem leading to a bug potentially. Yeah, I mean, I'm increment. Yes, I remember. This is like counting every time it matches. I'm just not outputting anything, but incrementing the delimiter match. So there's no reason to do anything with writing into output. But if they stop matching, then I write the characters that have been read so far to the output. And if everything matches, I just omit it completely from the output. So this does the magic already. Okay, and in here we have, of course, the handle field enclosed. Most likely I need to increment the relevant field count for this one as well, because let's see. So there's the special handling for the first character, and then there's extra handling for quotation marks found elsewhere. But this is within the field, and I think this one needs to, because the field that got read here might be a relevant one. So, okay, and these are normal characters. Okay, fine. And at the end, I'm just closing. Maybe this is where I should put it. Or no, maybe this is basically the. This is basically handling the end of character situation, because there are the other cases where I'm closing it and returning, and this down here is the special case of end of file or end of characters. So the only one that is left is the handle field enclosed. And where would it need to fit in here? I mean, in here I don't write any tags, I guess, because I already have, let's see. Where is it? So if I encounter a quotation mark, that also happens to be at the first position. This means I have like an enclosed field, and the opening tag has been, I mean, this is just for a single field, so this has already been written here. And where is its end tag? This is the special handling with was field, was enclosed field, because then I continue in the hope to either find a character return like a line feed or like a delimiter, and these already have their handling for relevant fields, or maybe encounter the end of the input, which also has its special handling, and also the option to throw an exception, like here if I encounter more character data after an enclosed field. So this should most likely do it, except that I also have to make use of it to see. I wanted to use it. So if I encounter a field and I still didn't, like if I encounter a relevant field and I didn't increment the relevant field count yet, basically saying that it is the first, then I write the line element, and the main important thing is that I have a chance to recognize the situation of out of characters at the beginning of a line or at the beginning of a field right here, which is pretty good, because then I can I haven't written anything here yet. And then again here I can check the count relevant field instead of regular fields. Right, so this should do it, I assume. I mean, I don't know if this is like actually totally correct yet, but like let's just try it, because this would mean that the count field hasn't been incremented yet because I exit right here and I haven't written anything. So this should basically make sure that I don't get an empty line down here without messing up the entire parser too much. Okay, let's see if I still get something useful in the output. Refresh. Okay, now something is broken. Let's have a look what's wrong here. Okay, I'm closing the line to... The question is if I'm not opening it correctly, or what went wrong here. Value 55. then a line with 3. So then the next one is a line with 3 empty fields. Then the next one is an empty line with 1 field and another, and oh wait. And another, and another, and another. So one of these is too many. Let's see how many line breaks I have on the input. So this says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plus something strange extra 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this is the extra one because this most likely. Yeah, okay. I guess this is just my stupidity of copying the no character situation. I think this is this one, right? And yeah, this means if I encounter a situation like this, there is no need to, because if I return here, there's no chance of the line having been written, the line start tag. So I don't need to check the relevant fields and whatnot, but maybe I should leave the to do for checking. But I don't need to do this in the no characters situation. And the other ones, these still have to be redone, I guess. Yeah. Or like, I mean, I have to carefully think about how to handle these. Okay, this is better. How many do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exactly as expected. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the last one is ignored because that's what the RFC says is still valid, and my interpretation would be that this doesn't mean that there's like an extra row with a single empty cell at the end. I mean, the RFC isn't particularly clear here, but this would almost always ensure that there's a cell error irregularity, and as the RFC is assuming that there are at least two fields, because this is where you need the delimiter, I assume, to make it a delimited. It's not like a line separated file, but a delimiter. I mean, like this should already, to not make it rendered pointless. Okay, so that problem has been solved so far. And now, should I check for the regularity and for the matches of the... This is maybe what I should do. And maybe before I output the closing line element. Another question is this table thing, encapsulation element name. I think I'm never using it. Yeah, I'm not yet using it at all. And the idea most likely is to use it so that there's like a root element name that also allows the introduction of XML namespace as some sort of wrapping, and then there's like the representation of the entire table. I think there's a viewer on Twitch, Deutsch or English. I'm writing a CSV parser. This is already mostly completed, most of it, and I'm adding some last features and cleaning up. And I have like a configuration file like this, and I'm currently wondering, I'm not really using this tag here, so it could be removed from the configuration, or the other option would be to now use it and write it to the output as an XML tag. Like the project is a CSV file to XML format converter, basically using a parser, which is like with an implicit call tree. This is basically what I do currently. So I do pass it to the parser, but it is never written anywhere. And I think I want to simply add it here. I guess I don't need this one, right? And I also have to make sure that I close it down here. Just write it to the output. Okay, and maybe I should remind myself to add some checks. If configured XML element names. So like, because they are not supposed to start with a number and stuff like that. Also are not allowed to be the 3 characters XML. And maybe I should check this, that nobody that nobody starts to add. Like this would not be valid, and I think also this wouldn't be a valid tag name, so I better check for that. Okay, so let's see, I have the root element name, which is like the wrapper element, root element there, and this actually represents the CSV data. And in case it's a little bit unclear, I mean, I didn't show all of the, like, the point is that I get a result like this in the end. And this is translated from an input file like this, handling some of the special cases of CSV format. And there's also an RFC for it, which is, I try to more or less support that one. Okay. So then, like, I think I should compile the program another time again, and then see if the element is that basically ends up in here. But I think the RFC doesn't talk about tables or something. What's a better name than table in this context, according to the RFC? Spreadsheet programs. I don't want to call it spreadsheet. Okay. There is a MIME type called tab separated values. But like, I mean, okay, comma separated values, as the name suggests, it uses comma as the delimiter, but maybe it is a little bit pointless to treat them as different things, like having a tab separated values format, space separated values type, comma separated, semicolon, colon separated. This is a little bit pointless. Maybe it makes more sense to just call it delimiter or separated values, or like separator value format or something like this. But then the trouble is, what would you use as a MIME type to indicate what kind of separator or delimiter is used? And there we run into the problem that these are not semantically formats again, which don't have their, metadata wrapper indication of their format, no XML namespace additional. And this is kind of the problem why they run into problems with registering MIME type for every. I mean, this doesn't make a lot of sense. This is just what they do there with the crappy operating systems and formats. But yeah. So record, they call it record, like line or record, I guess. Yeah, they use both names, line and record, because I guess the record is more from the database jargon. Record lines, okay. Because then I could just call the. I guess the idea is that line is more on the plain text level, the name of how it is stored in the file, but more semantically we are actually looking at records. And now I'm going to change everything again. This is very bad, but yeah, I just need to do it, I guess. Here I could stay with line, because the technical term of ignoring the first, if the first line is headers, it isn't technically a data record. So this is why I want to stay with line here. Okay. Too bad, line count and everything. Record element name. Record element name, okay. And more troublesome, the actual parser implementation. Ignore first line, record, oh wait. Handle line. I also stay with line because that would be the technical term for the source file, I guess. Record. First line record. Okay. Let's see if it still builds or if I did some. This is another example or like instance where I cannot simply use replace as leaf suggested, the user leaf. I mean, I could do it with just with pressing these buttons, but this is why I prefer using the short commands to as well step through the occurrences in the file. Okay, it did build. Let's see. I mean, this shouldn't make a difference in terms of, but yeah, it shouldn't be I guess this is like a more elegant solution here, calling it records the encapsulation element here, and then having records with fields. Basically, this is. I mean, it's a little bit uncommon, I guess, because everybody's talking about a spreadsheet language for CSV files. But I mean, it makes more sense, I assume, because then the my CSV XML format and CSVs in general are not necessarily related to spreadsheet programs, but could also be some database stuff or whatever, right? Like, for example, SQL tables or something. Why not? Yeah. Okay, so what else? Now continue with the to-dos that were left, or continue with the ignoring the first line. Ignoring the first line. I think I want to call handle line, but make the reader not make the writer not writing to output. And should I pass this to the method call, or should I do it in a stateful state machine kind of way? Because another open problem here is I have to, every time I write characters, I have to make sure that not in a case like this where I'm writing an element name that already has been checked, but when writing characters, I need to encode XML special characters. So I think it would be best to to add a new method. What's about this? I think this is just like an helper thing. Okay. Or maybe I guess do I work with strings? Maybe not. Maybe just just for the delimiter here. Okay, but why not have two overloaded variants of it? So let's check for all calls of write. Oh, okay. I guess it's always writer.write. So this is already checked, no need to worry, already checked, no need to worry, already checked. Name mapping as well. I just realized that this allows the addition of some fixed attributes. I mean, this would be some sort of hack, but yeah. Okay, we already start with a string. Okay. Handle character data. This is also already checked. I think I don't need to. Oh yes, I need to, of course. I always have to pass these to, and in this case it is even a string, but let's make it convert to the integer. If that works out, I don't know. Oh, it is even worse. I have also to wrap these in here because otherwise I don't know if I cannot know if these need to be omitted for the first line that needs to be ignored. Should I simply add another if? Oh, but I can't because otherwise the count relevant field wouldn't trigger. So this is unfortunate. Okay, but let's imagine there is a just do my own write method here. And it has a member, like a parameter that tells it if it needs to be escaped. Okay, I guess this is how I go about this problem. This is not super elegant, but it could be worse. I don't want to add even more ifs to the if checks to this parser call tree, because it's already relatively messy. So let's better do it with only a single parameter added to every call. Oh my, even more. No, I don't want to call it writer. I guess everywhere I put writer already. Is there another viewer on Twitch? I'm writing a CSV parser, a converter from CSV format to XML. I try to more or less reflect the RFC for that. I'm using an implicit call tree as a parsing strategy. And this project is almost completed already. Just a few features are missing. And then I'm going to clean it up off stream to finally release and publish the result. There's also a link for a more detailed description of the project in the at the bottom of the stream, I guess. And currently I have to deal with the question of escaping special XML characters when writing the result to the output. The result looks like this from an input file like this that also includes some special cases. And of course, these characters here may include XML special characters, and these need to be escaped, of course, obviously. And I try to add this now at every place here. And the idea is to make a new method called write instead of writing directly to the output stream, and adding an extra parameter argument here, which allows me to tell the write method if the string that it's passed here needs to be escaped or not. Because for writing these tag elements here, they don't need to be escaped, because all of this ideally should already been checked and there's nothing to escape. These need to be written. The idea, or like the point here, is to write these literally to the output, because here they are indeed XML control characters. So this is basically what's currently going on. And I also have the feature that the user can, like in CSV, some people, or like some exports of programs, they use the first line to indicate some sort of headline or header. For example, price article amount or something. And these are not necessarily data itself, so therefore there should be the option for the user to decide if he or she wants to include these or not in the output. And in the write method, my idea is I need, like, the problem is if these contain some commas or whatever, some special CSV structuring commands, then there's also the option to use the enclosing, and there's also the option to escape special CSV characters. And I want to use my regular code I already have for parsing all of this and checking for errors in the CSV format, but just omitting all output if the user doesn't want the first line to appear in the output. So, and this is the first time I actually want to call the write method with escaping what I have here. And also if I'm writing regular characters, these also need to be XML escaped. You know, like the XML entities like ampersand and greater than, less than, brackets. Yeah. Some more, this too. This is working with some string, of course. Also needs to be escaped, and regular characters. True. Okay. And this is again literal XML elements. All of these need to be escaped. And there's another thing with the why these are separate calls, because the call to the writer stream is basically I want to avoid string concatenation here. This is why I have 3 calls instead of 1 for the expense of string concatenation. Okay, these were all of the occurrences. Okay. Escape XML special characters. And now I'm wondering if I should just should do a loop and pass every individual character to. Oh no, this is likely not a very good idea, I assume. Because doing some replacement operation is potentially faster. I don't know, but so these are the regular 3 ones, except if in attributes, but we are never using any attributes, I assume, so. Okay. Here we go, there we go. Yes, this should already do it. Not forget. And in case of the string variant, Let's not forget the some sort of return code here. And here I think I don't know if this is of any advantage in terms of performance, but why not do it this way instead of a loop? I don't know if this is of any relevance, but whatever. Let's do it like this. I think I don't need to be too worried about performance here anyway, because this streaming parser, this also allows the option of doing this, which is nice. Okay. What else? And now the idea is to add another member. And every call of parse okay, and let's do it like this. And in here we do the exact same thing, only once for one line. Who knows if there's the need to who knows if there's the need to do something with stream state counting, you know, like delimiter match and whatnot. What about the delimiter match anyway? Maybe stuff needs to be reset. I'm a little bit worried here. Okay, but this allows me to read the entire line according to the regular parsing methods. And to read the line, and depending on this member here, I'm just going to ignore everything that is done here. Okay, let's see what happens. Maybe I have some, who knows if integer can be converted to character comparison and whatnot. Handle character data. What was it? 235. What else? 268. Maybe here I can, you know, give it a hint and say it doesn't need to be escaped. Or should I? Should I just make sure in case this is? Oh no, I don't. But like theoretically, basically, I mean, this does cost some performance and additional checks, but this is not an XML element that doesn't need to be escaped. So better. Oh, okay. So okay. Maybe let's do it properly. No, not using any tricks. Just to be safe and sure. Oh, that looks good. Fine. So now I'm wondering, maybe in the job file I should change it to for the first line to be ignored. No exceptions or something. Okay, but this doesn't mean that. Oh, okay. This is because I didn't save the input file here. So I end up with the line from 4, 5. Okay, let's just save this. Let's just do it another time. So now I have the value 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. And if I change it for the first file, for the first line to not be ignored, I also have some special XML characters in there to be escaped. So let's see what we get there. Oh no, this was down here. Okay, okay. But like the CSV escaping worked correctly, I guess. If I add an enter, this should also be preserved. Okay, we cannot see this in the HTML, like in the browser rendering, except for the empty space. But if opened in the editor, there is most likely a line break in the article. Correct. Okay, and other than that, let's check for the value 11. Okay, this these special characters are now escaped. This is sort of fine and cool, I assume. Not terribly elegant. And now the only thing I'm worried is about resetting some of the counts and stuff. But other like, I mean, usually the handle line also does its thing, right? Delimiter match. Why isn't it reset? Or where does it get reset? We start out with 0. We reset it at each line, and okay, I mean, resetting it when it did match or when the line is breaking, this is one approach. But on the other hand, it could also be done when entering also the field count. The field count is reset within count field is reset, and the count relevant field is reset. Maybe let's do everything in here, right? Why should it be outside? If I'm entering a new line, I obviously have to reset all of these. Maybe even when entering a new field, and maybe I should reset these several times, basically. Just to be sure, count field, count relevant field. Okay. So then the point would be that this is resetting its internal members here anyway, and this here is as well, which is great, I guess. And line does this. And I wonder if there's some special treatment of a -1 indication or something. Okay. Why do I have a negative count character once I have read one already? Okay, I'm incrementing it here. I see. I guess this is safe, sort of. I mean, this is deliberately the case, so I can, every time the loop continues, I can... Yeah, sure, okay. I mean, it's a little bit confusing, but fine, why not? And I just want to reset this one for each field. Not very like now all of this state is like spread, but okay, why not? Okay. So let's see if that causes some trouble. No exceptions. Output is the same. Okay. So like now I think like there's a little more to do, except the one case of this is what I just completed. Yeah, these three are the last changes I need to do, or maybe I want to do on stream. This is most likely already handled. This is a very special case, I assume. What else do I have? Yeah, some boring checking and also cleaning up all of the exceptions and stuff. Negative field number. I think this is what I do already, but maybe I want to add support for XML namespaces eventually. So, okay, so like the other stuff is a little bit boring, except the only remaining sort of feature, or not feature, but for like proper function of the parser, I have to see what to do about these cases, end of line cases. Oh no, it was about checking for regularity. So whenever I read the first line, whenever that happens, but I do have the field count, and maybe I want to keep it. Just add it like this. Count field maximum. Okay. I guess the trouble is where to set it. In the handle line or after. But maybe in there, so I don't need to repeat. But the problem is they have like several return conditions, of course. Some of them are error cases. And here I'm not incrementing the column count. Count field. Why is that? Oh no, I'm still in hand. Oh, of course, I'm still in handle line. Oh, but like okay, but at this, oh, this is great. I guess inside of handle line, I already did a bunch of handle fields, and I do know how often I did call these and how often I. So this is most likely the place where I should add it, I guess. And here too, I like this is exactly where I have the end of line. This is most likely where. Yes, exactly. I mean, so maybe let's do everything here in these types of scenario. So here I'm continuing counting fields. If I have reached the end of line, this count field max wasn't set yet, then gets set to okay. And there's also the trouble that if I didn't read anything, okay, I get an empty field. Like, I mean, it's always at least 0, I assume. And here comes the check. Throw an exception. Irregular. And so I guess the idea is that I write the end of the line if I have read some of the, this is where I check the count of the regular field of the relevant fields. Oh, and here I need I can not only go for the count of the configured input files, but I also need the largest one. This is like with the map looking for the lowest number, but I think this was a problem I avoided. Yes, I mean I wanted to check for the lowest relevant field number to see when I have to open the when I have to output the line element tag, but here I now need the largest number from the map. This isn't very smart, I guess. Here I will. I mean, maybe there are nice ways to do this in Java over the keys. I mean, there's get entry, but maybe there are even some sort of, you know, like the lambda and whatnot stuff. Key set returns all of the keys of a map. I guess okay, let's do it quick and dirty. This is not super important. Yeah, I guess the whole point is to use the for each int field number. How is it called in the job file? Field number, of course. In and then key set. I would expect that this is only done once, and if slower than field number. I mean, this is a little bit of like crappy or stupid code, but okay, but whatever. This is easy to understand, easy to write. If it does compile, then fine, this should do it. And I was busy here. Let's see if this even works, more or less. Most likely not, because maybe I need to include, import some more. What did I do wrong here? Field max. Field count max 164. Okay, so this should get to an exception of irregular, of course, because our input is highly irregular, but other than that, okay, let's establish regularity again. Get rid of these. So this should be fine again, more or less. Why is it irregular? Let's see how much has been written to the output. Maybe this is helpful. Okay, in the browser it breaks, of course. Come on. Come on, why is... Let's still keep the chat open. do a word wrap here. So we have data records, or maybe let's just check at the end. So at value 6, 5, 6, we have one more field. That would be my interpretation for the exception. Oh, I did close it accidentally. Okay. That would be my interpretation why this exception did trigger around value 6, because most likely we have, so this is basically the first record, then second record, third record, and here we are irregular because we have more fields in a record or line than it would be allowed. Here we have only 2, but let's see. I mean, all of this should also now lead to another error. Discard. We get to value 9 because in this record there's only value 8 and value 9, of course, which is not enough. 10. So this looks like it's already behaving as it is supposed to. And that is great, actually. $15. Do I do a mistake here? I think like this. And okay, maybe let's get rid of the last one. I mean, now it should be completely regular, shouldn't it? Okay, we still get, maybe I didn't count correctly, or maybe I'm confused myself. It's funny how this is called untitled. Okay, value 15 is the last one, and it says it is field 2, which means that a field 3 is missing. Oh yeah. So could I? This is because it's not escaped, of course. I didn't understand my own. And these are not escaped either. Whatever, doesn't matter too much. Like these are the interesting ones, and the last one, the last field, of course. But this should be fine now. Yes, great. Let's see if something is missing or something unexpected. But now our parser makes sure that everything is regular, that nothing is missing, which can be a bad or good thing depending on, you know, what kind. Like some of the spreadsheet programs, they don't mind to export irregular tables because their idea is that they proceed exporting cells until the last cell, no matter in what column it is encountered, and they don't fill it up with empty cells for the to fill up to the highest column count which contains a cell, because sometimes you have like people accidentally put a single space into some cell somewhere, right? Which is a mess, yeah, but this is what's out there in the wild. But my parser here is a proper one. If something special is needed, then maybe we add another option or can easily adjust the code a little bit to also support strange and stupid cases. So now let's check one more thing. If we say we expect column number 3, which isn't present, of course. This should, oh, did I save it? Yes, but oh, I didn't put in the check yet, of course, because this is supposed to happen here for the first line. And I also want to check if this also works for, let's maybe do the check for relevant fields first. So if I didn't find out about the amount of fields I already found, slower than relevant fields are missing, basically. What is the name of it? Count relevant field max. It should be called the other way around. It's like, I mean, count field and count field relevant. Should I rename it? Maybe I should. Like this, basically, right? Oh my. Drag and drop in the text editor. This is not a good technique, I guess. Oh no. Replace would be better, of course. Oh my. Okay. Did I also fix this one here? Potentially I did. But I think I just added the check, didn't I? For this one here, relevant missing. For some reason. Oh, because the number is 0 based and count is 1 based. This is probably the problem. Does this also lead to some problems with comparing these? I'm now omitting the... Okay. So this is still fine, just to some extent. Price article amount. Article amount is in the output. But for my comparison here, I'm entering with, oh no, I did do a read. Yeah, I think I just have to increment it by 1. for the reason of comparison of 0-based versus 1-based. Okay, this should do it. Now there should be an error because there's no fourth column with the number 3. Great. Relevant is missing, yes, and this should be the... If I change this to 2, everything should be perfect again. No need to build it. Yes, now it's fine again. Let's check the output. Okay, everything perfect, I guess. And there are only the other special cases that need to be handled. And I wanted to test if this also works the very same way if I ignore the first line. I mean, this should totally be the same. If I put in 3 here. Yeah, okay. I think it's sort of correct. And this also allows for filtering, which is part of the point of why do it in the first place. Oh, hi Leaf. Hi there. I'm like I'm about to sort of complete the features for this parser, so I then only have to clean up the mess and then publish and commit the result. But I did a few things, for example, like adding a way to ignore the first, to ignore the first line, because sometimes this is used as a header. I also added a way to, I mean, like XML special characters need to be escaped in the output. So here I have some, you know, oh, it's filtered currently, sorry. But these get escaped by entity references, basically. They are now preserved in the output, like here and there. So it's quite useful already. And I also checked for the regularity of the columns, and if the fields that are configured in the job file, if these are present, basically. Oh, I didn't check if the yes, I think I'm checking for the highest one. So because there are no gaps, because they are counted, I guess this also makes sure that all the other ones are found. I guess if I check for the highest one, all the lower ones are in there in between as well. And I only need to, yes, exactly, yeah, escape like this. Which is a little bit important, because otherwise you could easily break the XML because, like, you know, like a company name might contain an ampersand or whatever. Yeah. So here I need to, but still, I mean, it's still, I'm streaming for like 3 hours or whatnot. It all got dark, but I don't want to get up and turn on the light now because I'm almost done, more or less. So hopefully I can just complete it. For these checks here, I guess then this isn't necessarily needed anymore. Or is it? Here I'm sort of I guess this is only for the first line that gets read, where I check if the first line contains enough. Like I'm remembering how many fields I have, and I think this check needs to happen all the time, also for the first line. Okay, great to have spotted this logical error in here. Yeah, so for like it's negative for the first time handle line gets called, then I check if it's actually larger or the same as the amount of columns I've configured in the job file to be relevant fields. If this is not the case, I throw an exception. If not, I remember this, and then I also should immediately check if I guess this is already checked here. Yeah, basically. Oh wait, I have to. Yeah, I guess like this is checking for all the. I guess I can leave it in the else, because this is checking if all the subsequent attempts of reading a line if they also have as many lines as found the first time. And this also sort of makes sure that that the relevant fields are included here, because if this wasn't the case, then it also already threw an exception for the first line. So I guess this covers all of this. And so if all of this is the case, the only question is that I read at least one relevant column or field. And if I have arrived at the end of line, the amount of columns that have been read must be exactly the amount of columns that have been encountered in the first time, which also makes sure that the relevant fields are included there, which means that I have read them and written to output. So I can safely write this, because this means that that fields have been written to output. When reading the job file, I also should make sure that at least one CSV field mapping is configured here, right? And with this kind of setup, I think it is logically established that cell field values have been written to output, so I can always write the closing tag here, or I guess I need to write the closing tag right here. Okay, I mean, maybe there's one special case or whatever, but let's leave it like this. And I think because I copied the text, or like I copied these out of character and out of no character conditions, these are for the special cases of having read some fields and then encountering end of characters. without an additional line break. And in these cases as well, I guess I want to check all of this stuff here. I mean, maybe I could do different if check, like clean this up a little bit, but I'm just going to copy it. Because the only difference is the return code that gets translated. But yeah. And in the special case of the attempt of reading a line, that has no, like so this is the special case of a line break at the end of some fields that have been already written, and then the next, like after the line break, line feed, carriage return and line feed, there's no more characters to be read. So the RFC says this is allowed, and like logically this would lead to an empty field here, a single one. Like all the other ones are like 3 fields. Every row or record or line has 3 fields, and the last one would be a single line with an empty field, and this would always be irregular. I think this is not how the RFC intends it. So in this case, I guess I'm not checking any of this stuff. I'm also not writing the closing tag because I didn't write any fields in this case. I mean, I restructured a little bit to make explicitly sure that in this case nothing gets written to the output, no empty line, no empty row or something. So I think I can just leave it like this. And for this copied code, okay, I could maybe okay, why not? Let's oh, I'm doing it wrong. I'm doing it incorrectly. For the end of line case, we return end of line. So this is the only difference. So that I don't have to duplicate the code. End of line, end of line, end of characters, end of characters. And if I have a situation like this, always I add an not implemented exception, because if something gets added, right? But this is something to clean up later to do better exceptions. So this here isn't needed anymore because it's the same as the above. Okay, and now I wonder if there's something more to test. Not sure. Let's see what happens with a file like this and a configuration just going for the first. This is a little bit like a stupid case, but let's see what happens. Should be handled and covered with yeah, perfect. So we have 3 lines or records with only 1 empty field, and the last one is ignored because that is the optional, because of the RFC basically. I mean, this doesn't make a lot of sense, but like let's let's see, all of these should be fine, despite stupid, but I mean, right? Oh, there is a bug. Okay. I mean, only field 1 is... What did happen here? Let's have a look. So maybe there are still some special cases, and I don't cover all of them, but I'm quite confident that most of the usual cases are covered. And of course I want to have like a perfect parser converter eventually, but I'm also willing to sort of fix this stuff according to real world examples eventually. What is wrong here? The closing record is missing. Maybe precisely for a case like this, potentially, or like maybe more like this one or something. Handle field out of characters. I copied the wrong one, didn't I? Oh no. End of line out of characters, no characters. Ah, wait, this is end of field, end of line, out of characters, no characters. End of field, end of line, out of characters. And no characters. Oh no, this looks like it could be... Okay, so let's see what went wrong here. What goes wrong here? So I guess I mean it almost certainly must be the no characters situation, right? Oh wait. Let's see in the hex view. And the end of field is... Oh, maybe I still have some no character situation. Okay, oh, this is I potentially have to... Yes, okay, maybe this is like a problem in my thinking, because I was assuming that this is only for the first... Yes, I mean, this is why there was the check in there for... Yeah. I think this is where the original code comes from. This count field relevant. Zero, because I guess it is 1 based. The count is 1 based. Okay, this checks for the first time, but it gets in case of relevant fields have been written and I'm encountering the end of line. Okay, in this case it is already handled, right? So this is what I'm missing here. And the other thing is, if I have like an end of field encountered, it also already gets written, so no need to handle that. And this is the special case for some reason where but this should already take care of it, shouldn't it? This should already cover and write the end element of record. And why didn't it do this? Because this is strange. Because the field where this happens is the first one, I guess. Or the third one. Oh, I'm a little bit confused here. Maybe it's at another place, at another. I think I should potentially undo this, because this is likely not the case that leads to this error here. But basically, if I'm at the end of reading a field, that there's probably something wrong with the count of reading the relevant field and outputting the closing tag. So handle field, and I have the situation that I match the delimiter. This is what actually happens, I guess. And the current count field is also the relevant count field, not incremented yet, of course. And this for some reason seems, oh no, wait, this triggers, of course, right? Because this is the closing field 1 tag. Maybe I confused myself again. So, and then we are at end of field, of course. So we do a continue, handle the next field, which is not a relevant one. Of course, maybe it is indeed the we run into handle field. Basically, we are past the delimiter, want to read another character. There is none at the beginning of a field, so maybe we go for handle no characters. So it is indeed how I thought this problem could be caused in handle field no characters. But this time we did read a field and are more than one and are at the end, so I guess we have to close the record. And the difference is I have to do the counter check for this one. And then I wonder if I need to check if I need to do the regularity checks. Okay, so this is the expected result, of course. And if I have this situation here, then it should be still the same and not output an extra closing record. Okay, this Okay, I guess this solves the problem. And then if I do something like this, I wonder if I also have to take care about the regularity checks. But like, I mean, this special case says that there are, I mean, I did handle some fields, and yeah, I guess I need some. So like this difference here is if I encountered the no character situation and haven't read any relevant fields, if I have read some relevant fields, then I need to close the line because output has been written. If there were some, I guess I can. If there were some columns but not a relevant one, I think I just as well would want to check all of these, I guess, more or less. Or maybe I have to write an adjusted one. The no character situation could also be the first one. The first, but this would also be the last, I guess. So there's no point in saving. Okay. But still, maybe I want to do the check, right? Okay. So if I read the first line and it's also the last one, and I run into the out of character situation, and the amount of fields I've read is less than the maximum, then of course I also want to throw the exception in this case. Otherwise I can set it, of course, why not? Okay. And there is also the point is that the exception is not thrown in the case I run into no characters and fields were already set, like the maximum amount was already established. So this is in the else case. I think I have to pay special attention, because here I check if the for the regularity, and here it needs to be different, because if this count field, the amount of fields I've read is still 0, which means it is the first. I mean, this is the special case of handling the field. Handle field. If I enter the field and I cannot read anything, as I do not increment the, let's see, column count gets not incremented by, where's the column count incremented? Handle field does this, yes. Yeah, I guess so, because relevant fields get incremented, and this is also the case for, so like every time I do handle field and reading is successful, it gets incremented, except if if I don't get any characters here. And so I can also check if the count has changed during a call of handle field, but I can also check if it is the first. Because I'm entering with count field 0, and if it is successfully read, it should be 1 here after the handle field. But if I encountered a no character situation and the count field didn't get incremented, it's still 0. This means I have the case of no character situation. But if I did read some columns and encountered a no character situation at the beginning of a field, like an empty one, right? Then I care, of course. Maybe I should comment this a little bit more. For irregularity. Let's see. Oh, what's up with the scrolling in? The scrolling in the YouTube chat again. Okay, this is eating a little bit away from Restream. But like, I mean, nobody's chatting on Twitch or DLive TV anyway, so I don't need to be too much concerned about it. Okay, what did you write? I just found out how cool set jump and long jump are in C. Okay. I'm not aware how cool they are, but yeah, I mean, I guess they are probably cool because C and C++, of course, have some great stuff in here. Maybe it's for like, I mean, is it like? Oh, I mean, I'm not sure if I should compare them to some of the stuff we have at work, where we have maybe defines to use, but like jumping into calling some DLL functions or whatnot, or labels in there, if this is a thing. I don't know for sure. Maybe I should just check these. Lead to an exception because of irregularity. Now I'm curious. Set, jump und long jump. I mean, this is like the assembler. Okay. I guess this is a little bit, I mean, escaping the normal breaking the normal function call stack, I guess, and doing some special jumps. And I guess, I mean, I don't know what the particular use case would be here, or like, I mean, situations where to properly use it. I mean, of course, for program flow, but I think this is also a thing for, I don't know, I'm not sure, but like for loaded binaries, like DLLs, shared stuff where this could be used. I think it sounds like this is one of the more typical use cases.